In the summer of 1984, an exhibition celebrating Modigliani's 100th birthday started in his hometown of Livorno, with all the hype of a deflated balloon at a birthday party. Desperate to spice things up, the council decided to dust off an old rumor and toss it out there, crossing their fingers that it might actually hold some truth and save the show from being a total snooze fest. According to legend, before ditching his despised hometown for Paris in 1909 to become a world-famous artist, Modigliani chucked some of his sculptures into the Fosse Reale Canal after getting a few thumbs-down reviews. Fast forward to the snooze-worthy exhibition of 1984, where organizer Vera Durbe, desperate to spice things up, decided to bankroll a search for Modigliani's underwater art dump. In front of a mob of rubberneckers, the town centre canals got a good old-fashioned dredging in hopes of snagging the elusive Modigliani masterpieces. Days turned into a comedy of errors as they came up empty-handed. Let's face it, no one in Livorno really expected to hit the jackpot. The canal had already been through its wartime makeover and turned up diddly squat. When it seemed like Livorno was flushing public funds down the drain, lo and behold, on the 8th day, a miracle popped up like a jackpot in a kid's cereal box.
Oh, baby, baby, are you seeing this, boss?
It's payday, boys.
The Livorno Canal spat out a granite head, sculpted in that signature elongated style that screamed Modigliani. Hours later, they dug up 2 more rocks. If this were a movie, Hollywood would have called it Indiana Jones and the Digger of Ditch Treasures. Vera Durbe had no doubts and believed they were Modigliani's work. She then announced that they were original pieces by Modigliani. From that point forward, Livorno turned into a circus, attracting tourists and media from every corner of the globe, much to the glee of the city officials who had bet big on this spectacle. From New York, Tokyo to Zimbabwe, a motley crew of curious sightseers, snooping journalists and pretentious art snobs flocked to the Museum of Villa Maria, all clamoring to ooh and ah over these supposed mind-blowing finds. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire, drawing in experts from every corner of the globe to Livorno, like a bunch of art detective groupies. Big-shot art critics like Jean Lemery, Cesare Brandi and Enzo Carli showed up, cautiously nodding at the heads, confirmed they were the real deal. However, not everyone was convinced.
You guys are getting paid?
Federico Zeri, an Italian art historian, who claimed to have been warned by a phone call from a female voice about the discovery of 2 fake heads that would emerge from the waters of the Fosse, wrote an article for La Stampa in which he judged the heads as follows. Whether genuine or fake, the 3 stones are pieces of such poor quality that they do not even merit a qualifying judgment. If authentic, they represent, so to speak, the prehistory of Modigliani. On the other hand, Gian Modigliani, the artist's daughter and the controller of his legal archives in Paris, doesn't believe that these are her father's works and decides to go to Livorno in order to find out what's behind all of this. Modigliani's so easy to forge, there are more fakes of him floating around than selfies on Instagram. It's a forgery game so big, it makes Monopoly look like a lemonade stand. Behind art forgery, there's a business worth millions, and there's even a larger business behind the forgery processes. But Gian's Italian dreams were dashed when they found her dead body in her Paris apartment. They chalked it up to a classic case of domestic mishap and gave her a one-way ticket to the crematorium. Case closed faster than a French cafe at midnight. Being the gatekeeper of Modigliani's authenticity was like holding the ultimate Monopoly card. Gian Modigliani wielded the power to make or break careers faster than a blender pulverizes ice. Her stamp of approval wasn't just about art. It was a goldmine for collectors, turning hopefuls into high rollers or leaving them in the bargain bin. 4 decades later, folks still wonder if her death was an accident or the world's most artistic scheme gone wrong. As the Progressive Museum of Modern Art in Livorno was wrapping up its party preparations, a bombshell from the Italian news agency, ANSA, hit like a Will Smith slap at the Oscars. 3 Livornese students, Pietro Luridiana, Pierfrancesco Ferrucci and Michele Guarducci, spilled the beans to Panorama magazine, claiming they were the masterminds behind the second carved head. Turns out, their masterpiece wasn't sculpted with the finesse of Michelangelo, but with the brute force of a Black & Decker drill. To back up their tall tale, the newspaper dropped pics of the trio sculpting away in some random garden. And to really hammer it home, these lads got their big break on live TV during peak hours, where they reenacted their drill-happy art session for a cool 10 million eyeballs. Who needs art school when you've got primetime stunts? Even after the truth came out, the Derbe bros and a bunch of art critics were like, nah, those heads are the real deal. They accused the trio of just craving their 15 minutes of fame. The boys themselves fessed up that they didn't touch the other two heads, apparently. Drilling one fake was enough for them. The defenders of the artwork's authenticity finally relented about 10 days later, when it was revealed that the idea of mocking the elitist art world had not been exclusive to 3 brainy minions. It turned out that the other 2 sculptures were carved by a 29-year-old port worker and promising artist named Angelo Froglia. In 1993, Angelo Froglia finally spilled the beans, adding more spice to the story and pointing fingers at folks he forgot to mention in '84. Turns out, he fessed up to being the secret sculptor all along, using DIY methods to mimic Modigliani's flair. Unlike those 3 knuckleheads aiming for a giggle, Froglia had grander schemes up his sleeve. His game wasn't about chuckles, it was a highbrow commentary on how TV, newspapers, and all that jazz could sway folks' minds like a pop culture puppet master. His stunt wasn't just a prank, it was a conceptual brain bender, a masterpiece in messing with minds. Froglia's bombshell confession rocked the art world harder than a paint can at a gallery opening. Turns out, he pulled off the whole shebang solo, leaving the fishermen scratching their heads and the so-called experts in the mud. Even a journalist got caught with their pen down, singing praises about these faux heads like they were the Mona Lisa's long-lost cousins. His bombshell revelations, plus the legal drama stirred up by artists like Giuseppe Saracino and Carlo Pepi suing Vera Durbe, whose persistent claims in the media turned out to be as authentic as a $3 Monet, prompted the courts to dust off their gavels. They threw a magnifying glass at Livorno's ex-officials like they were auditioning for a sequel to Legally Blonde. Justice, art, and a whole lot of Livorno gossip. What more could you ask for? Those self-proclaimed experts were as quiet as mimes at a library, caught with their monocles down and their tweed jackets in a twist. The world, all hyped up like it was waiting for the latest blockbuster, soon found out that Livorno's miraculous find was about as genuine as Nicolas Cage's hair in Con Air. It was a hoax of epic proportions that had everyone in the art world scratching their heads harder than a cat with fleas. The whole saga turned out to be a goldmine for Black & Decker, who saw their drills fly off the shelves faster than Taylor Swift's latest hit single. They milked the chaos for all it was worth, turning their ad campaign into a masterpiece of drill like Modigliani. As for the fallout, Vera Durbe was crying buckets, while the Italian public laughed so hard they could have filled a pasta pot with tears, like they were all auditioning for a Dr. Evil impersonation contest. The fallout from the fiasco hit like a meteor strike in a disaster movie. Angelo Froglia found himself in a legal tango, facing more charges than a smartphone on low battery, fraud, forgery, and possibly overacting. The mischievous trio of troublemakers also took the responsibility of going to a lawyer and handing over the evidence to the authorities. In the grand finale, those Modigliani noggin knockoffs from '84 turned out to be faker than a Kylie Jenner before and after photo. It was a cautionary tale about art authentication, with more twists than a political campaign trail. What's your take on this epic prank? Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this ride, smash that like button and hit subscribe faster than you'd swipe right on pizza delivery. Stay tuned for more madness. I'll catch you in the next one.